Hi, I'm Billy McCord and welcome to the Recycle Creations Workshop. Today we'll be building this serving tray utilizing some pallet parts. If you enjoyed today's video, I invite you to click like at the end and also subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for further projects. For materials, you'll need a short piece of pallet rail with the fork slot included, as well as 3 to 4 pieces of slats. Start by jointing one face and one edge of each board, and then thickness plane the slats, as well as cleaning up the outsides of the rail. When planing the rail, leave as much thickness as you possibly can. This gets resolid later to provide the handles on each end. Next, over at the table saw, place the jointed edge of the rail against the fence. Adjust the fence so that you can create a parallel side of the rail that will be used as a glue-up surface later. When using pallet material, it's fun to use an element from the original pallet incorporated in your design. Here I'm using the fork slot as the handle for the serving tray. Using pallets as material can be challenging. Oftentimes you find a split in one of the boards like this. That doesn't mean it's garbage. You can simply put some glue in the crack, and I like to use compressed air to force the glue down in the crack. Clamp it up and let it dry. It'll be good as new. While the glue's still handy, we're going to go ahead and glue up the bottom and make sure we've got some good secure joints to support the bottom of the tray. Here I took an electric plane and cleaned up the glue joints, as well as just flattened out each seam so that they're less noticeable. Here I'm using my K-Pro level to determine the ends and center of the handle. The approximate dimensions of this tray are going to be 19 by 16, so I'm just leaving enough on each end of the handle to ramp down to the side rails. At the chop box, we'll trim the handles down to length. Off camera, I went ahead and resawed the handle stock in half down the middle to produce the two pieces. At this point in the project, you should have parts assembled that look something like this. Here I'm making some layout lines and using a piece of PVC pipe to lay out the design of the handle. It's important to leave enough strength in the handle to support the weight of the tray itself and whatever items the tray will carry. Since I had already resawn the handle stock, I taped the handles back together and utilizing the layout lines, cut out the shape of the handle. Sanding down to the lines to bring the final shape of the handle together. A little hand filing and some sandpaper to clean up in the areas that the belt sander couldn't reach. I keep a router set up permanently to round over edges. If you don't have one set up this way, you can clamp your stock down to a table and just use a router freehand with this type of bearing bit and round over the edges. Here I'm setting up the blade height and the fence width so that I can trim down the side rails of the tray to match the height of the sides we cut in the handles. Once that setup is complete, you can just go ahead and rip down both rails and set them aside. Now to trim that bottom panel to width, I squared up a rip fence for my circular saw and trimmed off the end as well as both sides to square it up, and then finally cut it to length. Then on the table saw I created a rabbet all the way around the width of the rails and ends. Then just using a chisel, I cleaned out the rabbet. Then we're ready to glue up the assembly. And for this process I do use a lot of clamps. You want that bottom to be very sealed up against the rails all the way around. To add some strength to the corners, I use John Heisz's method of floating dovetails. I'll put a link in the description to his page and how he creates those. Here's the finished product. I put a couple of coats of natural stain and some clear lacquer as a finish. I think it turned out pretty well. Thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, I invite you to click like and then subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for future videos.